Alrighty, okay. Because you're already here, I won't keep you waiting, and I'll go through yours first. BladeDasher. And actually, Ruby might be able to answer your question better than I could. But so, if you're still here, Ruby, what exactly is Band looking to do after sliding knockdown A-Train? Because I understand like the basics of it. Usually, you're either doing it, you're usually doing it in the corner, or if you do it mid-screen, you just E-break at them twice and then try and be close enough to pressure Oki. But again, that is me, a non-banned player's understanding of it. So yeah, after A-Train, Ruby probably will have a better answer, or at least a more specific one. Yeah, okay. So in the corner, that's really easy because you're close enough. Mid-screen, you're kind of just E-breaking and doing low throw. But if you're in the corner, you have all the time in the world to set up high-low throw. So up forward, jump, medium kick, 2LK, and throw. The usual band stuff. But we'll get right into it. And oh, I already see how this is starting. So to preface this, solo band is going to be a rough time. And then you can kind of there are two different spectrums to it. You can play you can try and play really patient and then just try and punish any mistakes. And Band is really good at doing that, and he has some really good tools to just check people for making really bad mistakes. And then on the other side of the spectrum, you have what people like to call rock, paper, scissors band, where you kind of just giant step, raw brass, and raw A-Train is your neutral, and you try and catch people out. Or you choose a lot more committal options and hope people get caught off guard, and you can rob a character or two and then take the momentum from there. Yeah, and so the thing I just want to make sure you are very much aware of, as a solo band player, neutral is going to be really hard. And so you are looking to find a way to choke out space, get them in the corner, and kill a character, and then kill the rest of their team in the same corner. You are built to deal damage, and that's about it. And so it's easy to get overwhelmed with everything that hits you. The first and foremost way to deal with people like just pressing stuff in your face and threatening with like every instant overhead in the game is be pretty aggressive with how you're mashing or fishing for parries. Because the second people start oh crap, I can't just like do what I want and I have to start thinking about what they're doing, that's the little bit of delay or hesitation you need to start kind of playing your own offense. Because in theory, you shouldn't be allowed to at all, period. And so when I'm talking about rock, paper, scissors band, this is one of the things I'm talking about, where you went for a really, really committal option that if you guessed wrong, you're losing a good chunk of your life for it. gotta... How do we deal with zoning? Okay. Up forward, jump light punch. Going for throw. Getting mixed. Burst there. Stuck by the tier. Did that not combo? That did not combo. Okay, we missed our bash. Got the mash there. Killing the character. Unfortunate drop. Did you not realize? Yeah, okay. We used OTG after this, so that next string won't work. And getting chipped out. Yeah. So you have kind of an idea of some of the things you can do to check Parasol. It's just usually not spaced right or not done quick enough. So the thing about Band versus Parasol, and then this is kind of just including assists, is you don't want to let her get a tier on you. Yeah, no, drops or whatever. I'm not gonna nail you for him, especially because that's, at the end of the day, those are some of the easiest things to fix, so it's not worth really ragging on people for. But yeah, so the things, so I as a Parasol player, the things I know I'm not allowed to get away with. Once you're in range for brasses, they're a good thing to check a Parasol who's getting too antsy with their shots, but they're not a thing you want to start overusing, because the second you do, she can punish you pretty consistently for a lot of them. The thing to look for full screen, yes, these are tournament matches. The thing to look for full screen specifically is H giant step. If you do not have a tier on you, you can kind of just do that, and it really prevents the Parasol from getting a shot out. So that is one pretty standard option from full screen. Obviously, they might start jumping, but once they're jumping, they can't actually threaten you with anything. They might H-toss and get a tier like on you, but they can't use it until they're on the ground. So that's when you have time to start moving forward. And again, to reiterate, as solo Band, you are mostly looking to just choke off space and then try and get people in a really uncomfortable distance. And full screen kind of works for you. You just need to make sure you're not running yourself into the corner staying full screen. Because, as I said, giant step tends to beat a lot of what Parasol likes to do full screen. Yeah, and so dealing with Bite Guy, you can either jump to avoid it, but you're likely going to get M-shot after that. You can try and hit it if you're confident enough that you can space a button and break the front without getting grabbed by the back. Some of that sort of stuff. Yeah, this sort of stuff is what you really need to just understand is going to happen. Parasol is one of the characters who can really just instant overhead you from a mile away. They could have actually converted off of this, but if there wasn't a tier on you in general and they did dash up, jump light punch, this happens even faster, and it's really hard to defend against. And so that's, again, where you get into the mindset of, how do I prevent them from being confident enough to do that to me? Okay, we're stuck in a corner. Yep, they're getting a little too fancy in front of your face. This is the second time on Oki they've gone for up forward jump light punch. And this is a habit to take note of, because if you catch them doing this, I'm actually just going to go back to the point where it happened. this is a really aggressive wake up for them, and it won't always work. So if you start expecting this, in a lot of situations where you see them tech, or if you have a heavy knockdown like we were talking about off of Train, or Brass also earlier, if you are confident in the timing, you can go for a 2 light kick, and if it's meaty, it will catch them up forwarding. If you want like the most guaranteed way to just prevent them from up forwarding on you, if you feel like they're doing it a lot, which this person is, you just jab here. Jab will win, and band jab is really good at catching up forwards, and then you get your full combo afterwards. And so the okay, and then we are using Brass a lot to fight our way out of the corner. Went for the A train. Yep. The lighter Brasses are really good at space neutral. Unfortunately, Bite Guy will grab you out of them. It is a big thing to be watching out for. And then overcommitted. Burst. It's a little slow, but still not punished for it. Lose the corner. Yeah. Giant step versus Panwheel is a bit rough. Small tidbit, I don't know if you know this or not. If you get hit with this button to start the combo, just the Parasol Jump Heavy Punch, it's a blue bounce. I don't know if you see the little blue project, or like blue particles on the ground. It's a whole pool earlier. I paused it a little late. This is techable. It's not a true combo afterwards. So there's a couple normals like this. It's really important for for playing against Parasols on any character to understand if you get hit by this raw, it's not a combo. Yeah. If they have a button beforehand, so if it's like a jump light punch, jump heavy punch, it's a free combo for them afterwards. But if it's just that button by itself, try and tech when you hit the ground. Not to say that it's easy. Sometimes your tech just doesn't happen and you get comboed anyway, but it's a very important thing to know for the matchup. I tell you this as a thing to think about. This Stand Heavy Punch X2 and L Shot is not a true block string, and same for a lot of other Parasol things. So basically, if you see them start going into anything other than, I think, 5 heavy kick, sweep, or the first hit of Stand Heavy Punch, which is where she does the big ducking swing, the thing you're getting hit with here, the L shot afterwards is not a true combo, and you can actually beat extender brass them. And it's definitely hard to get the input in at the time or notice their habits in the moment. But you seem to like trying to check people doing things, so I figured I'd just mention it. Food for thought. Yep, instant overhead. Push blocks. Brass again, catching them. So yeah, here they did jump light punch first, so it's a purple bounce, and it's an actual combo. But just kind of going all the way through that. Got back dashing. Jump light kick. It might have. In general, in neutral, if you're above them, jump light kick is a really good pressure tool. If they push block it incorrectly, you land and get to low throw them. If they push block it correctly, you usually can up forward jump light kick them again to jail them. You can also, if they're really afraid, e-break at them and then just take your turn afterwards if they're staring at you, if they're really scared. You can also then just press a spacing button if you think they're going to backdash and try and catch them backdashing. In general, jump light kick is an incredibly good neutral tool. And then using that and mixing it up with like rising jump light kick and then right before you land a symbols, so you can like kind of land cancel the symbols and also catch people trying to catch you as you're landing. Those are two really good things for a band to be using a neutral. But yeah, so I think I have some ideas of what I want to recommend you do, but I'll keep watching and see what else, because it's interesting, some of the habits I'm seeing. But how do you do with the squiggly matchup? Giant step. And for the record, Claw is an incredibly strong player. Yep. So, if you don't know, Squiggly is a stance character. So when you see her getting this, she has two different charges to get, basically. When you see this is her punch charge when she's... Yes, so when she has this charge, there's... Actually, I can pull up the wiki. She then has a special that pulls you in from full screen and adds hit stop. So you can get caught by Daisy or SBO. And it is basically a major check of like, are you doing something full screen? Do you respect me? And this is a lot of what Squiggly players are fishing for. So if they're full screen and they think you're going to do something, more often than not, they're going to start, at least do the startup, and they can cancel and not commit to anything. But if they see you going for something, this is what's happening. So doing committal things full screen versus Squiggly is very liable to getting you just this. It's very fortunate that it dropped, but so as an addendum, the only things they can do after this are supers, so if they don't have meter, you don't actually need to be afraid of this. So it's more, you need to keep track of them having charged it, and it's a very long and obvious animation, and usually it'll be part of their combos if they have an assist that allows them to do it. But once you know they have it, you basically just need to have in the back of your mind, don't do reactable things, even at a large distance, because Squiggly players can and will punish them more often than not. And so this is where you need to start playing her game a little bit, which is more slowly approaching, making good use of dash block. So you can dash and immediately hold back. It's easier if you button dash, so if you do 2 punches and hold back immediately. But at the end of the day, you can block while dashing in this game, and it is really important for dealing with this character and a lot of other things in the game. That's a really good habit to get into. Jumping and then double jumping in the air to get closer can help, but she has some pretty good air buttons. But it's kind of like you need to slowly and methodically approach her and still try and do big band things, so you're trying to choke off space and run her into the corner. You've already seen this. Return to neutral, train. Yeah, so you have the right idea of what to do after knockdowns. It is faster to E-brake twice. I'm pretty sure you use H-train, let it rock almost fully, E-brake, H-train again, let it rock almost fully, E-brake. And usually you should be pretty close on top of them to at least low throw them when they wake up. Snap. Oh, right idea, wrong route, unfortunate. Accidental launcher before snap. Don't think you're dead. Don't burst, don't burst. Good patience. Wake up SSJ. Worth a shot. I definitely would encourage you to work on your round starts, though. Your round starts, for the most part, seem to be literally just flipping a coin. Am I going to do H-brass or H-train? And the reason I want you to do other things is the risk reward for starting the round like this is incredibly skewed. It's really high risk for pretty low reward. If you get a if you guess right, you get a single hit that chunks a good part of their health, and then you return to neutral. If you guess wrong, they get a full heavy counter hit combo on you. So it's the expected value is very much not in your favor. So being patient at round start is usually really good. So if you want to be incredibly patient, you can up back. It's almost always going to be a safe option, and then you can react to how they start, and then you can like double jump forward if they give you the space. You can just dash block at them. Like think of a lot more non-committal options, whether it's just straight up committing to movement and reacting, or committing to like if you think they're gonna up forward at you. Again, your jab is a really good button for catching people in that space. So if you think people are aggressively approaching you, you can jab or you can fish for a parry or beat extend. If you see they're like really committed to just jumping at you at round start. If they're running away, depending on how afraid they are, you can dash block at them. You can check them with a L-brass. You can E-brake at them if you really think they're just too afraid to do anything. You kind of have a lot of those options. You also have a little bit more spacing options like crouch heavy punch or sweep, but usually you wouldn't want to commit to those at round start. You'd see how they're doing and then use it as like a reactionary spacing rather than just saying I'm going to round start 2 HP. And so just thinking about a lot less committal options for round start because it's gonna get you killed. Good blocks, unfortunate, counter hit. Snap, gets rid of red health. Raw brass for neutral. No. Oh, that is unfortunate. The final hit. Okay. Final game, and then I think I'm gonna hop into the training lobby with Band and kind of just show you a little bit of what I'm talking about. For the mash, that's half a life bar. You get mashed on as well. They get a conversion off of theirs. Bam. Okay. So I'm seeing a couple of good things and then some things I definitely want to address. So I like some of the brasses you're doing in neutral, not necessarily all of them. And it's kind of hard to actually describe exactly like when it is good or bad to go for, but it kind of just comes down to your understanding of spacing and your opponent's options and their assist options. So one thing I will definitely probably like almost always discourage is if you're just setting full screen, like full screen H-Brass, like if you expect a zoner to really be committed to their pattern, this is probably the only time you're committing to it. I saw you do it versus, or you might have been doing M versus Clawmaster, but like either way, these are things that kind of get you checked for versus anyone who's just playing a patient reactive game. These are things you use to discourage people from like overcommitting to projectiles. But at the same time, when you're full screen, instead of doing brass, you also just have this to do the exact same job. That pulls them closer to you. I think you can... Oh, that's not what I wanted. And then you get Oki like that. I mean, I think they can tech after that. But you get to start chasing them around and like run your game plan. And so, on that note, obviously it's a lot nicer in the corner. You can do that, you can do that, you can do that. And that's kind of like the crux of Big Band's offense. He can do a high-low throw. The high is the most awkward to convert off of. Alright, you need to tech forward. But there's stuff like that. Talking about... Yeah, I'm bad at the E-break cancels, but so like if you send them full screen, if you get good enough at it, it ends up covering more distance than dashing, and then all of a sudden you're closer to do this, but you want to make sure at the very least you are in range for this to be a threat and for this to be a threat. Band low throw is pretty strong. And then again, if they start up forwarding, if you're not able to do anything meaty, this covers that space so well. All that sort of stuff. But so, when I say like some of the brasses you're doing, and I think you had been asking in the live stream about this, like spaced L brass is really hard to punish, and it can catch people doing. Same thing, but not quite as much with M brass. It does have the nice benefit of having armor. In general, unless you like convinced you know they're gonna jump, I wouldn't recommend A-Train in neutral. Because if they don't jump, all of a sudden you're here and you get hit with the best combo they have, basically. Yep. So yeah, I remember going through the lab stream and you asked a question, or you were asking about that. And just to give you like, what is it? Yeah, okay. So it's if you just want a visualization, it like really nicely just covers all that space. And so it's Also, the same concept. So we saw the parasol do up forward jump light punch. I'm gonna do like just this as an example. If you think they're gonna do it, obviously it's a. If you think they're gonna be up forwarding at you, it oftentimes just catches them, because if they're trying to up forward, they cannot be blocking. Sometimes you get a counter hit, sometimes you just catch them before they even like do anything. It controls that space incredibly well. Yeah, some of the other things to talk about band neutral, Brent brought it up a little bit. This, like rising jump light kick if you expect them to be jumping, or if you want to delay it a little bit to land on them with it. This is really good for pressure. The second they're below you, you're really happy if you force them to block this, because you kind of get to run your offense after that. If you want to play more mid-range spacing game, symbols control them trying to approach below you. These are not awful air-to-air buttons, but you don't really get combos off of them, so it's... The light and medium, you get combos off of heavy, not really. But you really like being above people, and so you're kind of like trying to be a menace, making them afraid to do much. So you're always threatening this if they're trying to get cheeky full screen. They start getting closer, you choke off space. You e-break at them a little bit, you get them scared. When they're really close to you, it's kind of scary, but at the same time, again, this is a really good button that chokes a lot of space. This is not that slow of a button. Never press this. This is a nice little forward moving check, and then obviously this and this control so much space. And then, yeah, you can e-break afterwards, etc. One thing I didn't see you do all that often in neutral or in disadvantage, beat extend is a really good reversal, and I can understand that input might be a little hard. Oh, I was doing wrong. I was shaking for the DP input. I'd say a really strong DP. I forget exactly the different use cases for all of the different versions. That's a band player / wiki lookup. But if you see people jumping in on you, instead of fishing for parries or blocking it, if you think they're going to be pressing, this. And it catches assist really nicely, so if you think they're going to do some pressure behind their assist and you don't want to respect it, this is what you do. And then this is how you rob games. Because you get a nice full combo after it, no matter what you want to do. I forget band routing. And usually you can get corner carry, and even if you don't get corner carry, you still do a full big band combo with ratio into SSJ, and their whole team is bleeding. And then, on that point, I said you didn't do it much in neutral. I noticed you went for it a couple times on Wake Up, and also SSJ on Wake Up. It's also another kind of hard to describe thing, but the way when you were going for mashes were the really obvious times to be mashing. And so more often than not, you kind of got caught just them blocking, saying, I know you're going to press something here. And then that is the dangerous game you as a solo want to toe the line of. You want to be mashing, and again, so like in neutral, you're more likely gonna catch people overextending than when they're running their set play if they got you knocked down or for a reset. If you know they're pressing in certain ways in neutral, this will catch them, it'll catch their assist, and then all of a sudden you've just completely robbed the game, because that's more or less 2 characters dead right off the bat. And then try and tone it down if you notice, like, for their resets or for their Oki, if you are waking up and you're just doing SSJ into getting blocked. So it's like, oh, that actually comboed. That's awkward. if you see this happening a lot, start toning it down, because that also means they're blocking for your wake up. So instead, you can opt to be more aggressive. You can take your turn back. You can also just use the time to get away, buy yourself space, regroup, reset to neutral completely, and then start playing the game again. The one final thing. Let me pull up the hitboxes. I want slow-mo. What in the world? Am I crazy? Okay, that is the input. I saw you using this as, like, while they were in the air, and it can work, but it's not anywhere near as consistent of an anti-air tool. And I know they talked about, like, showing you the other buttons a little bit. This isn't really a disjoint, but it's just massive, so it sometimes catches people out. Again, people landing on you, you can just check them with this. Although you have to be pretty confident about your timing. This is another option to just, like, move out of the way and look at this massive disjoint that can catch people. So those are kind of the options, and I know I like dumped a lot of information, and I like by no means you have to implement any or all of it. Just wanted to plant some seeds, give you some ideas, and then whichever you want to start focusing on and working, all of them will improve your gameplay. And then all of a sudden you might see something in game and go, oh yeah, I can do this instead. And that's kind of all fighting games end up being. It's like you just want to get your thought process and then eventually your reactions and muscle memory to just deal with things most of the time anyway. And so that's kind of just where you're at. You're just here to play the game, have fun. By playing the game, you'll learn more. I think that's at the end of the day, that's kind of where you are in your adventure with SG. So it's as long as you're having fun with the game and keep coming back and keep putting time in, I think you'll get there. But I hope that was helping. Yeah, and if you have any other specific questions, please ask, or if on rewatching the VoD, just shoot me a ping if you have any other questions. Because otherwise I think that's me wrapping it up for this set.